this banjo player that I told you about, this young banjo player, and I wanted to play the banjo, and I asked him to be my teacher. So he was a student, a doctoral student up at McGill in Montreal.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, I'll teach you. I want to play blues banjo. I'll teach you how to play blues banjo, but first you've got to learn bluegrass. What's bluegrass? And you have to give me a ride to Montreal to pick up.
Oh, that sounds like George. You got to give me a ride to Mountain Air. You got to give me a ride to Denver.
To pick up his remaining stuff in Montreal, and I'll take you through the Appalachians. Ooh. And we'll stop we'll listen to banjo and bluegrass music all the way.
Oh, that becomes epic.
Wow. Yeah, it was an epic trip, and we camped at state parks along the way. It was really cool. And so we go to, Kentucky. We were in someplace back road Kentucky, and in the hollers and all that stuff. Yeah. And we end up at this place called the Poppy Mountain, second annual Poppy Mountain Bluegrass Festival.
Oh, wow.
It's a small festival of 2,000
Sounds
people.
authentic, though.
It was very authentic. It was so stereo. I mean, like, you think of stereotype hillbillies.
Yeah.
Everybody had a gimme hat on. All the guys did. Oh, man, it was just unbelievable. It was, you talk about culture shock. It was really something for me because I didn't come from that world at all.
Right.
But anyway, I met this older guy there, just sitting in the audience chit-chat and wait for the next show to happen. And I told him I was going to be playing banjo, but I didn't have a banjo yet. And I was going to buy a banjo and all this stuff. And he says, I know someone that has one for sale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he
Well,
says, I'll go see if I can find him. So he took off, whatnot, and then, I went to a different staging area and watched music there. But you know how you feel somebody like kind of staring at you? So I was feeling some energy there, and I turned and I look, and there was it's like we're in a barn or something at that point. There was a loft up there, and that old man was standing up there, and he's like, And so he came down, we met up, and he says, I found the guy that has a banjo for sale. So he takes me on an RV bus. He takes me onto this big bus, and it's Ralph Stanley.
Holy cow.
There's Ralph Stanley there. He's just out of the shower. He's all cleaned up. He's got the white pressed shirt on.
Oh, my goodness.
And oh, man, he's got that thick accent, so that he's got a beautiful banjo laid out on the couch there.
Oh.
The Ralph Stanley model and all this stuff, and he's showing me. Anyway, we hang on, but I really don't know who this Ralph Stanley guy is.
But I'm sure I've heard the name.
It's almost better if you don't know.
Yeah. Well, being with this young guy, he's probably, he was probably 25 and I was like 40, and anyway, so it's like, I gotta get your picture taken with Ralph.
With Ralph Stanley,
yeah. So he'd been sitting down, those RVs have these patio table type tables. So he'd been sitting down the whole time. He's like, okay, so he stands up and he pulls me real close to him, but he stands up. He's got this pressed white shirt, like I said, he's starched to the max, and he's in his pajama bottoms. And he's recovering from hip surgery.
Oh.
And he's up on a little ledge, and he puts all of his weight on me, and we get the picture taken. So I have a picture of him. Then he gives me his card with his home phone number and all this stuff on it.
Wow.
But then, apparently, this old man that I've been talking to, I had been telling him about my personal life, and I was kind of newly sober at that time. I was really a party girl, and but I was hitting 40, and I wanted to slow down more,
Wow.
So Ralph Stanley, from his stage show, he decides he's going to dedicate this song right here to me.
Oh, girl.
Based on the story that man told him.
That's
before me, the old and the new. I asked my sweet master, what must I do? The old coat was ugly, so tattered and torn. The other, a new one, had never been worn. Tell you the best thing I ever did do, I took off the old coat and put on the new. First man was earthly and made from the ground. We bore all his image, whole world around. And next was my Savior from heaven so fair. He bought me this new coat you now see me wear. I tell you the best thing I ever did do, took off the old coat, put on the new. Now this coat, it suits me, keeps me so warm. It's good in the winter, it's good in the storm. My Savior has dressed me in a garment so rare. He brought me this new coat you now see me wear. I tell you the best thing I ever did do, took off the old coat, put on the new. I tell you the best thing I ever did do, took off the old coat and put on the new.
Oh, and he dedicated that to you.
He dedicated
That's
that to me, you know.
Wow.
And the thing that was so interesting to me about bluegrass when I start, learning a little bit about it and going to some of these shows, I mean, it really takes off those guys that really get into improvise and do a lot of jazz stuff and incredible, but is that every bluegrass show, somebody always throws in gospel tunes. They always throw in, like, that was kind of a gospel tune that Ralph Stanley wrote, and which I thought was pretty cool, I just thought it was, but anyway, so for years, I didn't think anything about it, I just remembered that, my experience with him. Then I thought, a couple of years ago, I thought, I had that experience with the man. Of course, he died and everything. The least I could do is try to learn that song that he sang for me. So that's what I did.
Nice. Carry that on.
And I was kind of changing up my lead thing and getting screwed up.
Oh.
My little fill in there, but
It's
yeah, it was so
kinda
funny.
sweet.
One of his, I think it was his guitar player or his fiddle player, we were all hanging out outside waiting for their time to go on stage, and he was really hitting on me hard.
Oh, yeah? Ow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice memory,
Yeah.
I think.
It was really weird when I was young like that. I used to get proposed to a lot, and
Really?
yeah, and that old guy that I'd been talking about,
Gee,
he, huh?
that never happened to me.
Oh, really?
Well, not like that. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, but I wasn't traveling in those circles either. I was always locked up. I went from one thing to the next to the next. I was always tied up with somebody. I was
Oh, yeah.
seldom free float. One year I was playing the field and I was juggling 3 different men, but usually I was not available.
I was just so naive. I wasn't
Yes.
ever really looking for
Yeah.
anything,
Yep.
you know?
I just would fall into
That attracts
it.
people, so.
Right, you know, and you don't
That-
when you're young.
It used to happen to me,
Yeah,
too.
sure.
I'd get into it and like, uh-oh.
Right.
How do I get out of it?
Yeah. Just,
Just how do I get out of
any
it?
way you can. safely.
Really? Oh, gotta go now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
You
stressful.
well, 'cause you make them feel good.
Yeah,
'Cause
right.
you make them feel good, and
Yeah.
they, you know.
Yeah. That's it.
Well, you were special too.
Whatever.
They-
I was really naive.
They felt
Yeah.
your vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Non-threatening, complimentary,
Sweet.
sweet. Yeah.
That's what we are.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. Right. Vulnerable. Who's got a wise woman here?
Well,